We really don't have an audience per se, but at least we have an applause sign. I don't think I've ever given a tour of my talk show set studio that I built here in my garage. And if you're new to the channel, my name is Brian Kelsey. I built a talk show set here in my garage and have a little talk show called 10 Minutes With, where I convince celebrities to come in here for a 10-minute interview. It's basically a half-hour show, but like a late-night talk show / variety show, very much reminiscent of old David Letterman back in the 80s. Now, first things first, here we are in the garage, and of course the garage doors are the main attraction. Now, when I moved here, I changed out the garage door, the normal old garage door, which is one of those ones that lifts up and over. The problem with that is that you've got all the track and the garage door opener motor all in the way, and I have no room for lights. So I got these swing out carriage doors that there are motors on either corner, just on the sides, that automatically open the doors. They don't have them installed yet, but it's happening. Also, these windows are two-way or one-way. I don't know. The outside is a mirror and you cannot see in. In here, we can see out. I just don't want people peering in here. Also, it's a nice way for guests to see what they look like in the mirror before they actually walk into the studio. Okay, let's talk about power. So, first thing I had to do was have an electrician come in here, put in its own box, own circuits, ran all the lighting. Actually, it's all LED lighting, which I'll get into in a second, but it doesn't draw that much power. But I had everything go into one switch here, so I can simply turn it off when I'm done, and everything goes off. And then when it's time to shoot the show, I turn it on, and everything comes on. So let's talk about the garage itself. You know, it's a small one-car garage, and when people come in here who've seen it online, the first thing they say is, wow, this is so small. And that's good. It looks much bigger on camera, and I did that on purpose. In fact, there's a link down below to a free guide that I made that tells you all about the different things I did to make this studio look and sound and feel larger than life. All right, so one of the first things I had to do was build a wall. So that back wall there, you'll see we'll go backstage in just a second. That back wall is all new, and I built that so there could be some storage space back there, and also to run some wiring and stuff like that. I should show you actually what the backstage looks like. Okay, let's go behind here. You can see a lot of junk and storage. There's also a window. That's another reason why I wanted to build this wall. All right, so let's go back out and talk about set design and the desk. You can see I've got this standard talk show desk that I built, and I built it very specifically because a talk show desk is a lot different than a normal desk. I actually built this to the pretty close specifications to one of Conan O'Brien's old desks. So you can see it's very short, but inside it's all open. These are actual photographs that I bought and had them printed onto sticky kind of backing paper, put them up. Same thing here, although this one is kind of starting to come off a little bit. Then there's the train. I decided that I wanted to build a train, kind of like Mr. Rogers, that brings items from over there where Pete is to over here where I am, such as notes, such as drinks, maybe a beer. I kind of built everything, you know, with probably way too much detail, but that's one of the things that you need to know about, and that is when you're designing your set, you have to remember that the idea is to have the background a little bit out of focus. So you can get away with things that really aren't real. Like if you have, you know, fake brick, you can't tell that that's fake brick. This is fake brick in the camera, and you can't tell that those are fake plants from in the camera. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to be so particular about the background as long as you are, you know, have some distance between you and the background. And that's another good point. I put the desk as far this way as I could. I wanted it to be as far away from the wall as possible. Now, I have not much room in here, so this is about as far as I could go. But this way, it gives you some depth. Okay, so here we are behind the desk. You can see the view here. It's really small. I mean, we've got only about probably 8 feet between the doors and where I am. But you can see I've got my little confidence monitor, just so I know I'm there, and just a clock there to make sure I keep track of time. We've got a sound effects module here. By the way, all the stuff This technology is from like 4 years ago, and there are a lot easier ways to do this than the way I'm doing it now, but I'm comfortable with it, and maybe I'll upgrade, maybe not. But what I have here is a sound pad, and this plays all of sound effects and the music. Rejection letters.
And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna leave you an extra bottle of
Gino Vanelli, everybody. And everything I need that goes through a PA system. And I wanted a PA system in here to crank really loud when the guests come in, so it's a full experience. It really feels like you're on a talk show. It's really loud, they come in, or clapping, they sit down. Ladies and gentlemen, Stu Leonard Jr.
Hey, Brian.
Please welcome Sophie B. Hawkins.
Oh, hi.
There she is.
So the mixing board is the center of all this. It's an analog mixing board. It's 16 channels. And I just have everything going into different channels. Channel 1 is my microphone. Channel 2 is the lav mic here that we use for the guests. Channel 3 is the phone and the sound effects. Anyway, I have it all going pumped through the PA system, but also going into my computer here, which I run Adobe Audition, and I have each source on a different channel. So track 1 is, you know, my microphone. Track 2 is the guest microphone, and so on. So they're all separate. So that way I can easily mix it later and like take things down that I don't want or adjust levels and stuff like that. The big issue was my phone. I wanted a old school analog phone like David Letterman days in the early 80s. I wanted to be able to pick up a phone, hear it through the PA system, dial a number, call people, but it had to go through the PA. It also had to go into the mixing board and into a separate channel into the to Adobe Audition, so I could, you know, isolate it. And I also needed it to be able to work, meaning the person on the other end could hear me.
Hello. Hello.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Geraldo. How are you? Hey.
I'm well. My mustache is too.
So there are a lot of ways to do this. I found this little piece of like, I don't know, it's like an adapter of some sort, an analog adapter. Again, I'll put the description below. That lets me do that. Now you can see underneath the desk here is just empty. Again, this is built for television, so we don't need anything under here. We just need some leg room. I put some foam up here also as well, just because I tend to bang on the desk, and just some other junk and crap under there as well. By the way, I almost forgot to mention, I'm putting together a course on literally how to start your own talk show online, and right now I'm researching, finding out the best things to include in the course. So what I've been doing is scheduling Zoom calls with people like yourselves who maybe want to start a talk show, just to find out what would be helpful, what you would want in a course, how much you'd pay, anything that would be great to have included in a course about how to start a talk show online. So if you want to set up a call with me, there's a link in the description. Just put your time in on the calendar, and you can ask me any questions as well while we're on the call about the studio or whatever. This below me here is a little idea I picked up from Johnny Carson, and that is a cue card holder, kind of on an angle. I don't really use cue cards too much, but if I have to remember like dates and specific things about the guest or whatever, I kind of put them up here so I don't forget them. Okay, let's talk about cameras. So I have 4 main cameras that are running here in the studio, as well as a GoPro, and this is a 360 camera. So my main camera, camera A, which is the wide angle camera, this is a Panasonic S1H, and I'm running it into an Atomos Ninja, and I record at 422 10-bit into the Atomos. Now the reason I have a 360 camera on here is to be able to capture any area in the studio that I want. So when the guest comes in, this can swing around in post and I can get them. Mainly it's for Pete, because Pete stands over there. He's my producer and co-host. Or if there's anything else, or when the guests come in and they're standing and stuff like that, we can see all of the set more than just what's in here. But not too much, because one of the most important things is not to let anybody see how small your set is. You can say, yes, it's in a garage, but you don't need to let them see how small it is. And you can see that where Pete stands and where I stand is super close. I mean, it's like a few feet away, but I never show us in the same shot because I want it to appear much bigger, that he's much farther away. He's driving this train all the way down. Meanwhile, he's right next to me. Over there, I've got the guest camera, which is the camera I'm filming on right now, which is a Sony a7S II. I use a 35mm lens, shooting 4K to the guests, so I leave a little bit of room so I can edit, tighten up if I want to. And then over here is my ISO camera, which is another Sony. It's the original Sony a7 camera, not shooting 4K because I don't think it does. I'm using a vintage lens on there. That is a, what is that? Oh, it's a Jupiter 85. Love that lens, it's beautiful. And there's a little monitor there so I can see myself, make sure I'm in focus again, because there's nobody running the cameras. I hit record on all these and we go. By the way, this camera here, the main one, I forgot to say, I'm using a 35mm lens and running about 2.8 on the aperture. Finally, it's not set up here now, but there's usually a camera here, and it's one of my original Canons. It's a Canon 80D, and I had put I put a 20 on it, 20mm, just so I can get a wide, sort of cool angle from this side of the set, and it looks pretty cool. Up top, up there, I've got a GoPro, which has saved me many times, because occasionally cameras will die during the taping. And the GoPro, I can always cut to the GoPro if I need to cover something, or if a camera goes out or whatever. I forgot to say, I also have a camera outside, and it's filming the guests waiting or coming in, and that is it's a Canon EOS M, so that sits out there and gets all that kind of footage. And then, of course, finally, there is the train cam. I put a little square, small mini cam and tacked it onto the front of the train so I can get a cool perspective of the train going around the track. Okay, now let's talk about lighting, which is one of the biggest questions I get about the studio. How do I light it? And it's quite simple. Above here, I've got 3 of these panels. These are by Neewer, and I think they're like $40 each. I don't think they make them anymore, but I'll put a link in the description to the equivalent. Then over here is a hair light. This is going to give me some light on my hair and the back of my shoulders, also the guest as well. Then over here is a little bit of a guest fill light. It gives them some hair light over on this side. Then up here you can see these guys. So these are, believe it or not, these are disco ball spotlights. I think they were $20 each on eBay, link in the description. Over here, I had this sign made up because I wanted the guest, when they sit down, this is the direction they're looking. I wanted them to always remember where they are, who I am, and my Instagram handle as well. Also, while we're over here, here's another little light. This is a smaller panel. Again, this was probably like 30 bucks. So I hope this was helpful, and you may have learned some stuff, picked up some tips along the way. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment below. And as always, thanks for watching.